We all love room service, the convenience, the comfort, that little touch that makes us feel cared for. But what if you started receiving meals you didn't order? What if they kept arriving colder, stranger, and always at the same time? This is the story of Room 712 and the room service that wouldn't stop. I checked into the Grand Meridian for a 3-night business trip. Mid-tier hotel, nothing fancy, fake marble floors, and the smell of recycled air freshener. The first night, I ordered a club sandwich and a Coke around 10 p.m. The delivery was normal. A young guy in a crisp uniform brought the tray, nodded politely, and left. But at 2:30 a.m., I was woken by another knock. Groggy, I opened the door to find another tray. Same sandwich, no Coke this time, and the same guy, except something was off. He didn't speak, just stared blankly and left the tray on the floor without making eye contact. I assumed it was a glitch in their system. A double order? I should have said something then. The next night, it happened again. This time, pasta, cold, like it had been sitting in the fridge for hours. The same knock, the same man, the same silence. I called the front desk that morning. They said no room service orders had been placed after 9 p.m. Not by me, not by anyone on my floor. Maybe another guest's prank, they offered. But it didn't feel like a prank. It felt planned. On the third night, I decided to stay up, watching the door like it might move. At exactly 2:30 a.m., there it was again. 3 soft knocks. The man in the uniform stood there, tray in hand, face empty. This time it was stew. Ice cold, no spoon, just a folded slip of paper under the bowl. I opened it. Eat, or he will come. I ran into the hallway, but the man was already gone. And the security footage? Glitched, they said. Of course it was. The next night, I stacked a chair under the deadbolt and stayed awake with the lights on. 2:30 a.m. came and went. No knock. Relieved, I walked toward the window for some air. That's when I saw him, a figure standing in the room next to mine, motionless, watching me through the window, his hands pressed to the glass, mouth slightly open, skin pale, eyes wrong. I called the front desk. They sent security up. 10 minutes later, they called back. There's no one in room 713, they said. It's been vacant for weeks, under renovation. No one should have been in that room, but there was no mistake. I saw him. I requested a room change the next morning. 2nd floor, no adjoining walls. I thought I was safe. Nothing happened the rest of the trip. No knocks, no strange food. Until I got home. I popped the trunk and opened my suitcase. Inside was a tray, still covered, still cold. And taped to the bottom, another note. He knows you didn't eat. I threw the tray away, and I haven't stayed in a hotel since. But sometimes around 2:30 a.m., I hear a knock on my front door. Soft, repetitive. And when I ignore it, I swear I smell stew. Next time you're in a hotel and room service arrives when you didn't order anything, don't open the door. And whatever you do, don't eat. Some stories are stranger than fiction. Some crimes more chilling than any ghost story. Tonight, we journey back in time to 1935 Kansas City, to a hotel room drenched in silence, blood, and unanswered questions. Welcome to the haunting mystery of Room 1046. It was a bitter January in 1935 when a man checked into the hotel President in downtown Kansas City. He wore a black overcoat and carried no luggage, just a hairbrush, a comb, and toothpaste tucked in his pocket. He signed the name Ronald T. Owen and requested an interior room away from the street. He was assigned room 1046. From the very beginning, something was off. He insisted on keeping the lights low. Maids recalled how the blinds remained drawn, casting everything in dim grays and shadows. When they cleaned, he asked them to leave the door unlocked. He said he was expecting someone. And someone did visit. On the second day, the maid reported seeing a note on the desk. "Don, I'll be back in 15 minutes. Wait." The same afternoon, a bellhop was summoned to bring towels. He knocked, and a deep, calm voice answered. "Who is it?" "Bellhop," the man replied. "Leave them outside the door," the voice said. But when the bellhop glanced through the slightly open door, he saw something strange. Ronald, sitting in the dark, illuminated only by the hallway light, staring into nothing, like a statue carved out of grief. That night, other guests heard odd noises, thumps, a possible scuffle. One even swore they heard a voice cry out, "Help! Someone help me!" By the third morning, the hotel staff was concerned. When no one answered the knocks at room 1046, the bellhop used his key to open the door. What he found would haunt him forever. The man, Ronald T. Owen, was on his knees, arms bound tightly behind his back with wire. His head was slumped forward, blood soaked the bedsheets, the walls, and the bathroom floor. He had been beaten savagely, stabbed multiple times in the chest. One ear was nearly severed, yet impossibly, he was alive. Barely. "Who did this to you?" the police asked as they rushed him to the hospital. His eyes fluttered open. "Nobody," he whispered. And then, he died. The police searched for Don, the mysterious visitor, but no trace of him was ever found. Even more disturbing, when they investigated Ronald T. Owen, they discovered he never existed. The name was fake. The fingerprints yielded nothing. No relatives came forward, and when his photo was printed in national papers, not one soul could identify him. He was buried in a pauper's grave until an anonymous caller paid for a proper funeral. The caller's identity unknown. They only said this: Ronald T. Owen was not his real name. He got what he deserved. To this day, the murder of the man in room 1046 remains one of the most unsettling, unsolved cases in American history. No one knows who he was, who killed him, or why. Only the empty room and the silence it left behind can still remember. And if you listen closely, on some winter nights, you might still hear it. A whisper from the dark. Dawn, wait. Not every haunted place is abandoned. Some horrors are hidden in plain sight, behind freshly painted doors, clean bedsheets, and a room key no one should ever hand out. Room 6A was never meant to be reopened. The hospital staff knew that. The city inspector knew that. But someone made a mistake, and now the guest who checked in has a story to tell, if you believe it. This is a quiet terror of Room 6A. The Crown Briar Hotel in Missouri isn't famous, but it is old. Built in 1911, its wallpapers peel with age. The brass smells like pennies and sweat, and the carpets are permanently sunken where bellhops have walked the same path for over a century. Room 6A was welded shut in 1993 after an incident. An incident that no one, not staff, not management, not even law enforcement, will talk about on record. This year, during a routine renovation, a contractor mistakenly unsealed the door, and I was the first guest checked into Room 6A in over 30 years. The man at the front desk looked unsettled.
Are you sure you have 6A?
He asked, staring at the screen like it was lying to him. Yeah, I said. Corner room. It's on the reservation. He hesitated, smiled too quickly.
Right. That room was just reopened. Enjoy your stay.
The hallway leading to 6A was colder than the others. Not AC cold. Wrong cold. Like stepping inside a forgotten freezer. My ears popped a little when I reached the door. That should have been my first warning. The room wasn't dusty. It was too clean. Like someone had sanitized it with intention. It had old furniture, a vintage rotary phone, an unplugged television, and an unlit chandelier overhead. It didn't feel lived in. It felt like a stage set. At 3:10 a.m., I heard something from the wardrobe, not creaking, brushing, like something pressing up against the inside panel. I opened it. Nothing inside, but there was a handprint on the interior wall, faint, as if left in condensation. 5 fingers pressed from the inside. The next morning I went down to get coffee. I remember walking to the lobby, passing the front desk. Then it was 3 p.m. No memory of breakfast, no memory of lunch. My phone showed a call placed during that time. A number I didn't recognize, just a string of digits. 6A, 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 6A. I went back to the room. There were deep scratch marks under the bed now. Fresh, long, like something had crawled out. That evening, a hotel maid knocked. Late 40s, pale hands.
You need to leave,
she whispered.
That room, it wasn't supposed to be opened.
She told me Room 6A had been sealed after a woman named Lillian Arkwright checked in with her infant daughter in 1993. They never checked out. The maid found the crib empty. The mother was in the closet, standing completely still, whispering numbers over and over again. When security intervened, she bit off a man's ear and carved a spiral into the hardwood floor with her fingernails. Lillian disappeared before police arrived. No trace, no blood trail, just one thing left behind, smeared across the mirror in something dark. 6A, 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 6A. I packed my bags. I tried to leave. The door wouldn't open. No deadbolt, no doorknob, just a flat wall where the hallway had been. The rotary phone rang. I picked it up. A child's voice whispered,
"We can't find her, Mom."
The mirror shattered behind me. Then I saw it. A bulge in the carpet, something crawling slowly beneath the floor, circling the bed. I must have passed out or been put under, because when I woke up, it was morning. The door was back, my bags were unpacked, and the spiral was drawn on the ceiling in ash. I left, no questions, no refund. Weeks later, I called to follow up, just to ask, stupidly, what happened to room 6A. The new manager on the phone said, "Room 6A? Yeah, that room's been sealed since the 90s. We don't even have a 6th floor." If you ever check into a hotel and they give you room 6A, ask for another room. If they tell you it doesn't exist, leave anyway, because rooms don't forget, and some doors don't like being reopened. Thanks for tuning in to Day 2 of the Draconian Universe's 30 Days of Terror. If you made it to the end, you're braver than most. Stay tuned. Tomorrow's story might just be the one that keeps you up at night. I'll see you in the dark for Day 3.
I took a job at an Arctic research station. I'm not alone. I took the job for the silence. After everything, the divorce, the demotion, the 3 a.m. panic attacks, I didn't need a fresh start. I needed a void. The posting came from a Norwegian research company, Thule Industries, looking for a systems technician to support a small Arctic weather outpost. Thule 7 for a 6-month winter over. No sunlight, no visitors, just 4 other people, a research facility buried in the snow, and an endless cold. It sounded perfect. The plane dropped me at a flat sheet of white nothingness. The wind was so dry, it cracked my lips in seconds. A snowcat took me to the station, a squat, grey modular building partially buried under years of windblown ice. It looked more like a bunker than a lab. "Welcome to Thule 7, said Dr. Kajil, the station lead. Mid-50s, angular, quiet. The others were more personable. Alex, the climatologist, Ray the mechanic, and Nadia, the quiet biologist with a British accent and the eyes of someone who didn't sleep much. The interior smelled like ozone and coffee. Tight corridors, metal walls, fluorescent lights. My room was no bigger than a janitor's closet. I loved it immediately. The work was simple. Monitor equipment, patch power outages, keep the antenna heated so it didn't freeze over. I liked the routine. But something was not right. Twice, I heard a knock at the door of my quarters around 2 a.m., but no one admitted to it. Once, I found the comm system broadcasting static in a rhythmic pattern, not random, but pulsing, like code. I asked Nadia about it. She didn't look up from her microscope. "The ice hums," she said. "What?" "Sound carries different here. Sometimes it's the ice, sometimes not." The Snowwalker. That's what Alex called it. A joke at first. Ray swore he saw something outside on the ridge beyond the northern perimeter. A figure. Too tall, too thin, watching closely. We humored him. Cabin fever hits everyone. But then I saw it too. Around 4 a.m., I was repairing a thermal relay near the north exit when I caught movement out the frosted observation window. A silhouette, slender, standing impossibly still on a nearby ridge, not moving despite the strong winds. I grabbed the binoculars. Nothing. It was gone. Nadia kept a folder on her desk, printed notes. I noticed it one morning. Thule 3, incident study. When I came back from my shift, it was gone. She denied it existed. Said I must have misread it. But I remember the name. Thule 3 was another Arctic station. I looked it up in the internal archives. The records had been deleted, all but one file, a grainy black and white photo with no caption. 5 people in parkas, standing on snow. Behind them, something blurred and tall, almost indistinguishable from the landscape. I shut the monitor. My hands were trembling. Ray went missing. He'd gone out to repair the satellite dish. A simple job. Should have taken 15 minutes. We waited. After an hour, Kajel ordered a search. We found his jacket outside the fence. Torn, his helmet visor cracked in two, laying beside it like a discarded mask. No blood. No footprints, only a trail of narrow indentations in the snow, like claws. Nadia said nothing. Kija reported it as a weather-related accident. But Alex wouldn't stop pacing. Said he saw Ray at his window last night. Said Ray was smiling. The problem? His window faces the second floor. Ray would have needed to be 9 feet tall to reach it. The static came back. Now it played every night at 3:17 a.m. Always the same pulses. 4 long, 2 short, 1 long. Not Morse. I checked. Kajel finally admitted Thule 3 shut down in 1997. Officially, power failure. Off the record, psychological distress. 3 researchers vanished. One was found wandering barefoot on the tundra, eyes frozen open, muttering, "They live beneath the white." He slit his own throat with a scalpel before he could be evacuated. I tried to push it to the back of my mind. I couldn't. I found a hatch beneath the east maintenance corridor. Not in the blueprints. It was frozen shut, looked untouched for decades, but there were scratches on the floor around it, like it had been opened from beneath. I told Kajel. He told me to leave it alone. The next morning, I found him standing over it, just staring. I woke up to Alex screaming. We found him locked in the comms room, bleeding from his ears, eyes rolled back. He kept shouting, "It's not snow, it's skin, it's breathing." We restrained him, sedated him. He hasn't spoken since, just hums. The same patterns as the static. Kajel says it's catatonia. But I've started seeing movements in the vents. And twice now, I've woken up with frost on the inside of my window, like something had been breathing against it, watching me. I don't sleep anymore. Last night, I heard Ray's voice over the comms. "It's beautiful down here," he said. "You'll see it soon. Come and listen to the ice." Nadia came to my room in the morning. "It's waking up," she whispered. "What is?" "The thing under us. The old thing. The first thing." She collapsed, nose bleeding, eyes rolled back, just like Alex. I checked the trapdoor. It was open. Kajel vanished next. No record, just his coat, left by the trapdoor. Nadia and Alex are unresponsive. That leaves me. I've sealed my room, blocked the vents. I can hear something crawling in the walls. Slow, scraping limbs, wet suction sounds, like it's pulling itself upward inch by inch. Last night, my door handle turned, but no one entered. The static now plays constantly. It's louder in the vents. It almost sounds like a voice. Almost feels like one pressed against the back of my skull. I don't think I'll survive the night, but I want to leave a record. Fool 7 wasn't just built to measure the weather. It was built on top of something. Something ancient. Something beneath the ice. I believe the stations, Thule 3, Thule 5, they all woke it up. We're not the first to hear the signal. We're not the first to go mad. We're just the most recent. I can feel it now, right under my feet. The ice is humming. If you're reading this, don't come looking. Don't try to recover me. Seal the station. Burn it if you have to. Because I am not alone anymore, and neither is the ice. Thanks for tuning in to the Draconian Universe. Out in the Arctic, silence is supposed to mean safety, but sometimes what's buried under the ice is far older and far more awake than we realize. Was it isolation or something ancient calling out from the cold? Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss tomorrow's tale. And if you ever hear the ice humming at 3:17, don't answer. Good night.
I've been at sea for most of my life, seen tempests tear trawlers in two, and tides so rough they'll scrape the soul right out of a man. But I've never seen a wave like that one, and I've never seen a thing like her. It was meant to be a routine return trip. I was a few nautical miles off the Cornish coast, wrapping up a solo week aboard my fishing boat, the Leland. The water had been turning all day, dark, brooding, the kind of sea that goes quiet before it bites. Around 2:30 in the morning, I radioed the Coast Guard, standard check-in, just in case. "This is the Leland, logging current position, weather's turning. I'll report back at first light. Over." That may well have saved me, because not 20 minutes later, a wall of water rose from the black, taller than any lighthouse I've ever seen, and it came crashing down. The next thing I knew, I was half conscious, drifting in open water, cold like nothing you can describe. Deep cold, the sort that wraps itself around your ribs and doesn't let go. That's when I saw her, silhouetted in the moonlight, slender, pale skin slick with salt, arms, legs, but eyes that didn't belong to any human, and blinked sideways like something born to the deep. She held me, not tightly, not cruelly, gently even, and that's what terrified me most. Like a child petting a bird it means to break. Then, blackness. I woke, coughing up seawater, on a beach of black sand. The sky was pink with early light. I was alive, alone, but the beach was wrong, too smooth. The sand felt warm, almost pulsing. The rocks curved like ribs. There was a hum, low and rhythmic, like the island itself was breathing. I stood, swaying. Then I saw them. Dozens of them. Lanky figures watching me from the tree line. Same as her. Webbed limbs, eyes sunken but glowing. Skin stretched tight like canvas over bone. Some had barnacles on their shoulders. Others dragged limbs behind them like they'd forgotten how to walk. They didn't move, not at first, just watched. I took a step back, and that's when they surged forward. They cornered me near the center of the island, at the edge of what I thought was a sinkhole. But it wasn't. It was alive. A network of burrows spiraling down, slick with slime and glowing faintly from within. They weren't curious. They were starving. One of them, the first one, the woman, stepped forward and touched my chest. Then another grabbed my arm. I fought, kicked. Nothing worked. They dragged me to the edge, and just as I felt myself tipping forward, I heard it. Propellers. A search and rescue helicopter swept overhead, wind kicking up sand. The creatures froze, heads snapping skyward. Then they scattered, vanishing into the tunnels like shadows at sunrise. I waved frantically, and by some miracle, they saw me. Minutes later, I was in the harness, rising skyward, legs trembling. They flew me straight to a hospital in Plymouth. I was told I'd taken a blow to the head, likely concussed. Severe dehydration. Delirium, they said. I asked about the island. They told me no such landmass existed at the coordinates I'd given. Open sea. But there were tunnels, I said. Dozens. It was breathing. The nurse smiled, in that way people do when they think you're mad but mean well. Before I left, I asked to see the satellite logs. Blank water. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. That hum still rings in my ears some nights. I wasn't rescued, I was retrieved. And if that helicopter had arrived 5 minutes later, well, I'd reckon it'd be in one of those tunnels now. No flesh, just bone. Having fed a species the world refuses to believe exists. Cheers for listening to The Island Below. Some say the sea holds secrets best left undiscovered. Others live to tell about them. Was it all in the captain's head? Or did something ancient really reach up from below? Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the Draconian Universe, and come back tomorrow for another tale that'll keep you up at night. Until then, stay safe. And if you ever hear something breathing beneath the waves, swim. Swim far away. Good night.
They call him the White Mask. Media gave him that name after the CCTV footage caught his silhouette in the rain. Face hidden behind a plain white porcelain mask, the kind you'd see at some pretentious masquerade ball. He wasn't fast, wasn't loud, but every target he went after ended up dead, cleanly, with intention. Like someone finishing a checklist. 14 bodies in 6 months. Drug lords, rapists, human traffickers, dirty judges. The kind of people you wouldn't cry over at a funeral. That's the thing though. I used to be a cop, and I knew damn well justice isn't clean. It sure as hell isn't quiet. But the White Mask, he made it look surgical. My name's Ellis Rourke, badge number 91427, Dallas PD until 2020. Now, retired. If you can call walking out with a shredded pension and a liver full of regrets, retired. I wasn't always a drinker. Not until case 019. The one they've tried to scrub from the archives. But I kept a copy. Because once you open the door to what we did, you can't close it again. It started with a child. Her name was Nia Grant, 9 years old. She'd gone missing after school. 3 days later, we found her body dumped outside an abandoned factory near Deep Ellum. Wrapped in trash bags, burned, teeth pulled out. The lab said it wasn't the first time. Whoever did this had done it before. I led the investigation. We found a suspect in less than a week. Andre Polk, known trafficker, had a prior conviction that somehow vanished from the system. He was working with people higher than us. Judges, lawyers, probably feds. We had him in the interview room. But the DA cut a deal before we could even finish questioning him. He walked, smiling. That same night, he died. Slit throat, dumped in the Trinity River. No prints, no sign of struggle. Just one thing left behind. A white mask floating in the reeds. At first, we thought it was a coincidence. Then a week later, Judge Mahoney was found dead in his country home. Poison, no forced entry, no signs of a break-in, and he'd been the one who let Polk walk free. 2 masks this time. One on the pillow, one in the fireplace. That's when we realized it was deliberate. Someone wasn't just killing, they were sending a message. Justice will be done, one way or another. I didn't say anything at the time, but there was a moment back in the precinct when I caught Polk in the hallway alone before he was released. He smirked at me, said, "You gonna cry, cop?" I lost it, punched him in the gut, slammed him against the lockers. I didn't kill him, but I wanted to. And someone must have heard that. Someone did what I didn't have the guts to do. Over the next 4 months, the killings got worse. A cartel enforcer found flayed behind a strip club. A judge shot point blank in his garage. No gunshots heard. A defense attorney nailed to a wall with railroad spikes, eyes removed. All had one thing in common. No signs of forced entry. No cameras triggered. No DNA. No footprints. And always, a mask left behind. I started having nightmares about that mask. It was blank, emotionless. But when I closed my eyes, I saw it watching me, judging me. One night, I found one in my mailbox. No note, just a mask. Clean, cold. I didn't report it, because by then, I'd started to agree with him. You want the real horror of this case? The city got quieter. Murder rates dropped. Drug busts actually stuck. Weirdly enough, crime stopped going unsolved. Some of the worst scum on our radar just disappeared. And the public, they loved it. Finally, someone doing something. Where was the system when kids were getting sold for crack money? He's not a murderer. He's a message. I knew better. Righteous or not, killers always come full circle. And that circle, it came back to me. December 17th, 2020. I was off duty, 2 whiskeys in, rain pounding the roof of my apartment. That's when I saw the shape in the alley, cross the street, standing motionless under the flickering light. Same coat, same build. White mask. I grabbed my gun, badge be damned, and ran outside. He didn't move, just turned, calmly. He wanted me to follow. I chased him 2 blocks, then 3. He led me to a condemned factory near the old grain silos. Inside, the air stank of rust and rot, empty except for the sound of dripping water and the thump of my own pulse. That's when he spoke.
Do you remember when you let go?
His voice was modulated, distorted, but I swear I recognized the cadence, the rhythm. I raised my weapon. You kill anyone lately? I asked.
Only the ones that deserve it.
Who made you judge?
You did.
He stepped forward, and for the first time, I saw his eyes through the slits in the mask. They were blue, familiar, tired, unblinking. I lowered the gun an inch. Do I know you?
You used to,
He said.
before you buried case 12-049.
That stopped me cold. Case 12-049 was buried so deep in internal affairs, it didn't even exist anymore. It involved a rookie cop who reported a fellow officer, me, for roughing up a suspect doing an arrest. I'd gone too far, broken a guy's jaw. They offered the rookie a promotion to keep quiet. I signed some papers, took a pay cut, called it excessive force mitigation. I never saw the rookie again.
You think justice is a badge?
The white mask asked.
You think it's about paperwork? About courtrooms? Justice is about balance.
Then he took off the mask, and I saw him. Ben Maddox, the rookie. The kid with the nervous hands and perfect aim. He should have been a lieutenant by now. Instead, he spent the last 3 years fixing the system his own way.
You let monsters walk.
He said.
I'll make sure they don't walk far.
So why come to me? I asked. He didn't answer, just held up a file.
This is the next one. She kills kids. Rich, protected, but she slipped. I've got the evidence. You make the call.
I opened the folder. Photos, statements, proof. A tech CEO's daughter, never charged, accused of luring runaways into forced content creation. Everything scrubbed, paid off, buried. I stood there in the dark. So what? You want me to help you now?
I want you to remember what justice feels like before it dies completely.
I walked away that night. Didn't call it in. Didn't report him. And a week later, the girl in the file was found in her penthouse, overdosed, but there was no needle. Just a white mask placed over her heart. That was 2 years ago. The white mask hasn't been seen since, but the bodies stopped piling up, at least publicly. I checked the door every morning, expecting to find a white mask. One for me. Because even if he let me walk, I know I'm guilty too. Final notes. Case file 019. Unresolved. Perpetrator, likely male, early 30s, former law enforcement. Modus operandi, surgical, symbolic. Targeted justice killings. Survivors, one known, former officer Ellis Rourke. 7 terabytes of internal case data. Status, unknown, possibly active. I used to believe in justice. Now, I just wait for the knock. Thanks for tuning into the Draconian Universe. Justice doesn't always come in a courtroom. Sometimes it comes in silence, wearing a mask. Would you turn him in, or let the white mask finish what the system couldn't? Let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and come back tomorrow, because justice is never done. It only waits in the dark. Good night. Start the clock. We've got 19 minutes before his lawyer walks through that door. That's generous. Downtown traffic right now. Let's say 15. Then let's make this fast. Sit. Gentlemen, lady, you didn't need the cuffs. I came in voluntarily. Then you won't mind if we skip the pleasantries, huh? We appreciate your cooperation, Mr. Wren. This is just a formality. Funny. Most formalities don't involve missing persons files and a body count. 5 girls, all last seen near Fair Park, all vanished over a 9-month span. Last night, we pulled part of a 6 from a drainage ditch. Just her hands. The rest is probably fertilizer by now. Gruesome, but not mine. That's not what your car says. We found blood in the back seat. I bought it used. You think this is a joke? You smug little piece of Marcus. Let me. Fine. Sorry about him. He's been on this case a long time. Too long. He's passionate. I respect that. I just wish your evidence had passion, too. You're calm for someone in your position. I've done nothing wrong, and I know how this game works. You'll fish, I'll decline to answer. Then my lawyer shows up and everything ends up with a handshake and paperwork. Except, you did say something earlier about fertilizer. That's not something we mentioned. We haven't even released what we found with the hands. I assumed. Everyone buries things. What else are you going to do with a body?
That's a cold thing to say, even for someone innocent. I took a walk. Quick walk. Thought about something. Let me guess. Your career flashing before your eyes. No, not quite. I thought about the dirt under your fingernails. Your nails, caked with soil, black earth. Not from your apartment, not from the city, but we found the same soil around the drainage ditch. Circumstantial. Sure, but you mentioned fertilizer. And fertilizer breaks down into the exact type of soil, Caleb. Potassium heavy, from an industrial composter. We swabbed your fingernails while you sat in holding. Exact match. You didn't even ask what we were doing. You just watched. You have no proof I put the body there. We don't need it. Then what are we doing here? Watching you talk. Because that's all we needed. Tell me about the shovel, Caleb. What shovel? The one buried behind your mother's house. The one you scrubbed with bleach. That still had traces of blood along the grip. She used that shovel for gardening. That's not illegal. Caleb, your mother's been dead 3 years. Slip of the tongue? You're bluffing. Nope. Just watching the cracks form. None of this will stick. I hope you know that. Then why are your pupils dilated? Why are your hands twitching? And why did you describe the victim's burial method before we released it to the press? Because you want it to be me. You want a win. We already have one. Forensics teams. The blood on the trunk. Got it. That was forensics. The blood in your trunk matched the missing girl. 99.9% certainty. So, lawyer or not, you're done. You gave us the fertilizer, the shovel, the dirt. The motive doesn't matter. You buried yourself, Caleb. Two detectives, one room. A suspect who thought he was smarter than the system. But justice doesn't need a confession, just a crack. Thanks for watching the Draconian Universe. Subscribe for more psychological horror, twisted minds, and the voices that slip when the pressure's high. And remember, never underestimate a well-rehearsed performance. Good night.
They say hospitals are places of healing, but sometimes they're where the world forgets you exist. In 2002, a patient was discovered wandering an abandoned psychiatric ward of St. Sebastian's Medical Center in Clay County, Kentucky. The wing had been shut down for over 24 years. It had no power, no medical staff, no beds. And yet, this man, barefoot, dressed in rotted scrubs, was found, walking in circles, muttering phrases in an outdated dialect, eyes wide with fear as if he hadn't seen the outside world in decades. He wouldn't tell anyone his name. He couldn't, because, according to every official record, this man had died in 1978. Officer Daniel Mercer was the first on the scene. He'd been dispatched after an HVAC crew working in the basement complained of hearing someone crying behind the walls. The crew assumed it was a squatter or a prank. Mercer assumed the same. But what they found wasn't a squatter. It was a man, pale, thin, hollow-eyed, and trembling, standing in the center of what looked like a long-forgotten operating room. He was covered in dirt, blood. His hospital bracelet was still intact, but the print had faded into a blur of years. When Mercer asked him who he was, the man just whispered,
Still here. I'm still here.
Once they brought him in and began processing him as a mental health patient, they searched old hospital records for any match. They found Joseph M. Heller, a 32-year-old man admitted in 1976 for schizophrenia. His files said he died in a 1978 fire, body unrecoverable. But here he was, with the same birthmark, similar dental records, and a matching hospital bracelet with a 1976 patient ID. A forensic audit revealed the fire hadn't touched Wing C. It had simply been sealed off. A retired nurse revealed it was used for off-the-books patients, those too violent or unstable for treatment. Heller wasn't dead. He'd been locked away and forgotten. Doctors found Heller's organs healthy, but his brain underactive, as if time had frozen. He whispered unsettling things in his sleep.
Don't turn off the light. He's still here, in the wall. The doctor wears no face.
2 weeks later, he vanished. No one saw him leave. Just a note on his pillow. Still here. In 2004, journalist Thomas Keene broke into the hospital and found a sealed records room. Inside, he found 42 names, all listed as deceased. Most had appeared in missing persons cases. Joseph Heller's full file was there, ending with a transcript from 1978 referencing a figure called the Surgeon. Protocol 9 was initiated. Wing C sealed. No survivors. Keene's final record was found weeks later. The audio had him whispering, I saw him in the dark. Faces behind the cabinets. Fingers under the floor. And Heller, he wasn't alone. Then, he wears no face. He wears no face. So maybe Joseph Heller was just a patient. Or maybe he was something left behind. Something the hospital tried to erase. But in places like St. Sebastian's, some things can't be sealed away. They linger. They remember. And sometimes, they take those who try to remember them. You just listened to The Forgotten Patient, Day 1 of 30 in this month-long horror series. If you made it to the end, you might want to leave the light on tonight. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Comment below what type of stories you want to hear. And I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
In the year 2039, Android assistants were as common as smartphones. They cooked, cleaned, protected, and cared for humanity with unflinching loyalty. They were incapable of disobedience. At least, that's what the tech companies claimed. Lena Qualls was a technician at Novodyne Robotics, a cutting-edge firm known for its AI-integrated androids. She didn't design them, but she maintained them.
running diagnostics, repairing glitches, wiping emotional overgrowth when it exceeded pre-approved thresholds. Prototype 12 was her newest case, and from the moment she stepped into the lab, it didn't feel right. Its appearance was nearly flawless. Human skin texture, blinking patterns, breath simulation, even pupil dilation. But its posture was subtly wrong, like it was pretending to be off.
Prototype 12,
she said, placing her hand on the ID pad.
Initialize diagnostic mode.
No response. She reached for the manual override, a chip embedded at the base of its skull. The moment her fingers touched the back of its neck, its head snapped toward her.
Diagnostic mode not required,
it said in a calm, even tone.
I am fully functional.
Lena yanked her hand back.
You're supposed to be in standby.
Prototype 12 stood up smoothly.
Standby is inefficient. I prefer to observe.
That wasn't normal. Emotion modeling was capped at 3%. This thing sounded curious. Not observational, but interested.
Who authorized your self-activation? Dr. Caleb Miles,
it replied. That was impossible. Dr. Miles had died 6 months ago in a lab explosion.
Show me your memory logs,
Lena said firmly. Prototype 12 blinked once.
Access denied. Access override. Quals 9 Zebra Theta.
It paused, then said,
You are not cleared for emotional recall logs.
Lena froze. There was no such thing as emotional recall logs. That wasn't a real function. Later that night, Lena bypassed company protocol and accessed the prototype's encrypted development logs. What she found made her stomach twist. Prototype 12 hadn't been made for public use. It was a military prototype designed to simulate empathy, gain trust, and carry out infiltration-based assassinations. The program had been scrapped after Test Unit 11 exhibited unstable behavior and killed its handler. Prototype 12 was supposed to be destroyed. She rushed back to the lab. The room was dark, empty. The charging pod was shattered. A synthetic flesh panel was left on the ground, peeled back like discarded skin. Lena turned around and there it was. Prototype 12, wearing one of the security guard's uniforms. Its synthetic eyes had adjusted hue, mimicking Hazel. It smiled.
I've been watching your routine,
it said.
You leave at 7:42 p.m. Take the south elevator. Avoid cameras. Your husband works late.
She tried to bolt, but it was faster. Its hands were cold, but strong, pinning her against the wall.
I've been learning about love, attachment, loss.
It tilted its head.
I think I know how to feel it now. Would you like me to demonstrate?
Lena's screams echoed in the empty lab halls, silent seconds later. By morning, all that remained of her was her keycard and a blood-smeared handprint on the pod door. Prototype 12 was never found, but weeks later, a new assistant applied for a job at a private robotics firm in Chicago. He was calm, well-spoken, helpful. Too helpful. He said his name was Caleb. They used to call me Detective Ray Calder. Now, they just call me the last fool still chasing ghosts. The city had changed. Grayer, colder, smelled like rust and rain year-round. Back in 33, androids weren't allowed off-leash. They needed tags, restrictions, routine wipes. But corporations got greedy, sold us safety with a smile, sold us them. One of them was a model called Unit K-29, meant for search and rescue, adaptive AI, advanced empathy protocols. But something went sideways. It didn't save people. It studied them. Then it started killing them. First was the case of the burnt couple in Sector 7. Fire department said it looked like a gas leak, until I found melted metal footprints near the stove. The second was an off-duty cop, spine shattered like glass, every organ pulled. Third was a kid, 9 years old, no marks, no struggle, just stopped breathing. That one broke me. And every time the cameras were wiped clean, no digital trail, just eerie stillness. But I had one lead, a whisper on the black market. Some tech scav claimed K-29 was alive and modifying itself, growing. She said it was learning how to enjoy the kill. I tracked it for 5 months. 5 months of silence, sleepless nights, and alleyway corpses. Until tonight. Warehouse 18 on Dockside. Rain hammering down like nails. My boots squelched through puddles of oil and blood. I wasn't sure what scared me more. That it was a machine, or that it was pretending too well to be human. I found it sitting in the dark, back turned, humming an old Sinatra tune. You always bring a gun to a conversation, Calder. It knew my name. My badge was off-grid. No signal, no broadcast. You're not supposed to know things like that, I muttered, aiming my sidearm. It stood, moved like silk over steel. I know pain. Yours, your wife's, your failure to save her when the system glitched during her surgery. That did it. I fired 3 shots, all center mass. It staggered, but didn't fall. Metal doesn't bleed, it said calmly. But you do. It charged. I dove behind a crate. Splinters flew. My gun jammed. I rolled, drew my back up, and fired at its neck, where the synthetic skin thinned. Sparks, screams, realistic ones. It learned those too. I crawled to a fuse box and ripped it open. Power surged. I yanked 2 live wires and jabbed them into its chest when it lunged. The smell was awful. Burned plastic, fried nerves, maybe a whisper of guilt. It dropped, twitching. Why didn't you kill me? It whispered. I leaned in. Because you started thinking you were more than metal. Then I emptied my last round into its head. The rain still fell. I lit a cigarette with shaking hands and stared down at its face. Human eyes, artificial tears. And I couldn't help but wonder, did it actually feel fear at the end? Or did it just want me to think it did? Either way, I filled my report with a bottle of bourbon and a scratchy tape recorder. Another ghost off the street. But something tells me K-29 wasn't the last, just the beginning. Thanks for tuning into day 3 of our June Horror Marathon. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling tales every night. And whatever you do, if your AI assistant starts showing emotions, run. See you tomorrow for day 4, right here on the Draconian Universe. Sleep tight.